the Arts is one of the great art institutions in New York City. When I think back to the beginning of the School of the Arts 60 years ago here in this building, Dodge Hall, it is incredible to think about the journey from that first small group of a couple of artists all the way up to now, 60 years later, where we have 4 thriving areas of study. We have some of the most eminent artists in the world who are permanent faculty here. Our graduates have won every imaginable prize, whether it's the Pulitzer Prize or the National Book Award or Guggenheim's Emmy Awards and Academy Awards and even Nobel Prizes. But what really matters, I think, is that it started here. One of the things that is characteristic of the School of the Arts is the incredible diversity of the work that our students do and our alumni go on to do. So the same school can produce blockbuster animation films alongside documentaries that reveal some of the greatest problems in the world today. As the world becomes ever more complex, we need artists more than ever. Our artists are fearless, they are brilliant, and they're serious. They're serious because they really believe, as do we all, that this work matters. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am thrilled to see you all here. Congratulations to the 2025 graduating class of the School of the Arts. Congratulations on your extraordinary work over these years at Columbia and on your truly remarkable focus and dedication to your art and scholarship during these very challenging times. Congratulations on having attained the status of Masters of Fine Arts, well-deserved for your accomplishments as filmmakers, theater makers, visual and sound artists, and writers, or having attained the status of master's degree holder in film and media studies for your scholarly achievements. We could not be prouder of you or more excited to see what you will do next. Graduation is a big milestone. But of course, life happens in many different segments of time, some long, some fast, some blurry, some clear. You're going to do wonderful things in your own way and in your own time. All of us here know that you will take your immense creativity and your artistic integrity into magnificent directions, changing the world along the way. We also know that there is no one path or expected time frame. Your next steps may feel very shaky. We are still here for you as you take them, and on from there, we are always here for you. And you will now be joining a most stellar and decorated group of people, the alumni of Columbia University School of the Arts, a truly awesome mix of artists and scholars who will welcome you into your august company. But you will be missed here. Unquestionably, these last 2 years have been hard ones at Columbia. And for all of the stresses and strains, and at times contention and pain, I do believe we have been in this together. It's an incredible community, and not without difference and dissent, of course, but rather more compelling because of this. Over these years, you have become deeply valued members of the School of the Arts community. As students, artists, and scholars, of course, also as contributors to each aspect of our operation, whether in production, spearheading newsletters and other publications, collaborating with one another on all kinds of projects, teaching and mentoring our undergraduates, or volunteering in the community, and always helping us all to think better through your advocacy and your empathy. This class is just excellent. So talented, full of spirit and devotion to your craft. You come from 33 different countries and from 25 US states. Your backgrounds are as diverse and inspiring as your art is original and motivated. And let me just say this very clearly. This diversity and this international character is something that we cherish and we always will. To your families and loved ones who have supported you in this very risky and frankly kind of questionable endeavor of going to art school, I want to give a big shout out. Thank you for supporting these incredible young artists. Family and friends, if you are able, please stand up so that we can give you a proper round of applause. To our faculty and staff at the School of the Arts, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you. You are what makes this all happen. Our faculty at the school represent an unbelievably distinguished and productive group of artists and scholars, true leaders in their disciplines who have brought amazing vigor and inexhaustible inspiration to their fields and to the broader world. They're also, bar none, the most devoted teachers and mentors that you will find anywhere. Our staff here at the School of the Arts is off the charts. They never cease to amaze me with their ingenuity, their commitment, their collaboration, and their good humor. Faculty and staff who are here, including on the stage, if you are able, please stand so we can give you a proper round of applause. So I want to name a few individuals for special notice. First, our 4 program chairs and distinguished faculty, Professors Jack Leshner, Christian Parker, Mia Masaoka, and Deborah Paredes. There they are. And our 4 program directors, Hana Seifu, there's always a long pause after you say her name. Clarence Koo, Laura Mosquera, and Frank Winslow. I need to say Frank Winslow again because it got drowned out. And Frank Winslow. So all of these great people will soon be addressing you and inviting our students to the stage. I also want to recognize Professor Rob King, Chair of Film and Media Studies, who's not up here on the stage, but also a chair. Please give some love to Jana Wright, Dean of Academic Affairs and Planning at the School of the Arts, whose devotion is boundless as are her intelligence and her modesty. Let's take a moment to offer profuse thanks to the organizers and contributors of today's wonderful ceremony, most notably Leila Maher, Dean of Students and Alumni Affairs, who's the most thoughtful, caring, and brilliant ally for our students through their years at Columbia, from orientation to right now, and indeed beyond. And Trent Pollard, Associate Director of Student Affairs, who's been working nonstop with Leila to manage this ceremony, bringing to the task his trademark kindness, charm, and quiet persistence. Also in Student and Alumni Affairs, Jessica Pearson and Herbert Hugh deserve our gratitude. Other helpers here are Kenny Wong and Corey Beth Knott, and there's so many others. And when you see your staff friends and who are here tonight and you've seen who've helped you at the door or anything, just give them a hug, give them some love, because it's a real team effort to make this evening so wonderful. Let's give a big thanks too to Julie Dobrow, Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid, who first admitted you all, whenever that was for you a few years ago. Well done, Julie, and to her fantastic team. There's so many other leaders and other colleagues I would love to thank. I'll just mention a few. Wendy Mazo is our new Associate Dean for Development, who's jumped on board with creative energy to help ensure the financial future of the school. And we all know the work we have to do and the goal we have towards making this an ever more wonderful place for future students. Christina Tate, who's our communications guru, and I just want to say, please stay in touch with Christina and her team with your news going forward. Our leaders in programming at Miller Theater, the Lenfest Center for the Arts, and all over campus, Melissa Smay, Lauren Weigel, and Gavin Browning, who's also helped to produce this event. I also wish to thank the staff here at the Lenfest Center, that's where we usually are, and Lerner Hall, and our delegates for the event, who are helping us now and for the reception that follows. And let me say, the reception is here in Lerner Hall. You do not have to go out into the cold, miserable, rainy night. That's the best. Second to your graduating, that's the best piece of news for today, is that we're having the party inside. And finally, to the great screenwriter, director, and School of the Arts MFA alum, Lisa Cholodenko, who will be our convocation speaker in just a few moments. We're here to celebrate you, our graduating students, and to share the joy of this moment, the completion of your studies. At the same time, one must be honest and direct and say that you are heading out from school at a very difficult moment. It's an especially challenging time for artists, for truth tellers, for those whose instinct and inclination urge you to follow your own vision, even if that may become unpopular or take you into conflict with those in power. I've had faculty come talk to me with pain in their hearts, reporting that a student, for instance, had expressed fear for their safety or their future if they tell the story they want to tell, make the film they plan to make, a story that these faculty have never heard before, or a fear they've never heard before. What if the characters, ideas, relationships, struggles, and images that matter to them and center their work are suddenly deemed unwelcome or worse? You know what we want to tell that student, and we will. Do it. Make your film, write your novel, direct that play, build that sculpture, pursue that scholarly idea. In the end, art and scholarship, honesty and truth, the power of creative ideas, intellectual integrity, these will prevail. Everyone at the school believes that in our bones. Now it's going to get a little dark again. And yet, of course, it is a punishingly hard moment to be an idealist. I don't think I have to spell that out. For me, when the lights seem to be dimming, I head to the arts, whether it's a film, a theater, off to a museum, and especially to my bookshelves, for advice, solace, beauty, distraction, wisdom, or a bracing dose of reality. In the last year, I've been reading Jane Austen, Toni Morrison, a lot of Tolstoy. This has helped, somewhat. Unfortunately, I cannot get George Orwell off my mind. 1984 is haunting me, framing the moment with a clarity that burns. But what moves and intrigues me for this moment of today, your graduation ceremony, is this: the creative act itself. That decision, if that's what it is, to write or direct, to make, to pursue an idea or a story, that drive to let creativity be your vocation. Every one of you has a unique narrative of where this all came from, whether it was a memorable moment of clarity and realization that this is what matters, this is who you are, an attitude you've had since childhood toward a certain way of thinking and expressing yourself. I can say that's definitely true of some of you. Perhaps a clarifying experience or a dawning realization. And even beyond this general inclination to forge ahead with a life in the arts and to join others in the collaborative creative process, we can also isolate something else, that essential undertaking to commit yourself day by day to these cumulative acts of creative making. Every instance in which you put your fingers onto the keyboard to write, or step into the theater, or click on your camera, or re-enter your studio to confront that half-made work is a new act, a rededication to something, some story or idea or vision. Last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, I went to see a most stunning and uplifting new play at the Public Theater, written and directed by one of our illustrious alumni. And after the play, it was an unbelievably wonderful play, and the whole audience was just in the moment in a way that is so special to theater and so typical of our alums, I might add, to produce such things. But after the play, the director and producer spoke with audience members. One of the questions was about how they had stayed with the project so long. It actually had begun at Columbia 18 years ago. And one of them said, well, the play has changed a lot, and so have we over these many years. And of course, they've been doing a lot of other things in between. But we just stayed with it. Resilience was the word he used. Lots of people say no at different times, but you don't let that discourage you. You listen, you rethink, you continue. That's the sentiment I want to celebrate with you today. It's not super glamorous, though, believe me, the end product could not be more so. But I think it's essential, and it is, in its way, sustaining. That is what matters now. Those books on my shelf have a lot to say about this. For one thing, because they're there. Because through all kinds of adversity, and in very many cases, true implausibility or even danger, these writers and filmmakers and theater artists and visual artists have somehow done it, despite backgrounds and lives that have been silenced or obstacles that beset those who tell stories that jar against the norm or just open up something new, or just the ordinary difficulty in taking a work from a germ in your mind into a fully realized object or production in the world. We all recognize that making art has always been tenuous. It is a prospect that carries more weight, in fact, than the modesty of those simple daily acts may warrant. There's something in that touch of the keyboard and the swish of the paintbrush that defies and challenges essential aspects of our society. I think of Winston Smith, the doomed everyman protagonist of Orwell's 1984. Sorry, back to that quickly. And how he recognized, I'm telling you, it's just like hounding me. And how he recognizes that the deed of striking the pen against the notebook in the dystopian totalitarian society of 1984 means certain death, even regardless of what is written there. But it goes back further than the act of writing itself, to his purchasing of a notebook, which attracted him for the beauty of its luxurious paper in an ugly and bereft world. Or perhaps earlier still, because in a society of total mind control, his intellect was still restless, his memory still active, his humanity still twitching. The chilling accuracy of 1984's envisioning of a regime of total power is what we remember about that book. But let's not forget the quiet, creative act that stands in its own small way on the other side of that. Never mind that it fails. Orwell's book is here, and that does matter. Less dire, but still arresting. Here's Lily Briscoe and Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse as she stands painting on the lawn, a quotidian act, a daily act of art making, and yet, quote, always, before she exchanged the fluidity of life for the concentration of painting, she had a few moments of nakedness when she seemed like an unborn soul, a soul reft of body, hesitating on some windy pinnacle and exposed without protection to all the blasts of doubt. Why then did she do it? Unquote. Why indeed? And yet she does. History and literature and all of art tell of people who have stood out there on those exposed lawns, who have risked it. In his autobiography, Black Boy, Richard Wright says this about the still inchoate stirring in him of what will become his writerly calling. I was building up in me a dream which the entire educational system of the South had been rigged to stifle. I was feeling the very thing that the state of Mississippi had spent millions of dollars to make sure I would never feel. I was beginning to dream the dreams that the state had said were wrong, that the schools had said were taboo. Somewhere in the dead of the southern night, my life had switched onto the wrong track, and without my knowing it, the locomotive of my heart was rushing down a dangerously steep slope, heading for a collision, heedless of the warning red lights that blinked all about me, the sirens and the bells and the screams that filled the air. Wright went on to author the great novel Native Son, of course, which is still read in high school and college courses across the country. Okay, mood is lightening, I promise. The point for today is that creativity and the creative act embody a certain kind of audacity, a certain kind of stance, and also an intense vulnerability, even in that daily, quotidian regularity, that resilience I've been talking about. It's not that all art is political, of course not, or even that all art will make a difference, and Lily Briscoe knows or thinks that her painting will be rolled in an attic. But storytelling, we've got future artists here already, the next generation. You're already admitted just for being here and participating. It's not that all art is political or even that it makes a difference, I already said that, but storytelling and the generating of new ideas are in their way always interventions. They push aside the constructs of the world as it exists, even if only the tiniest bit. T.S. Eliot believed that each great work of art not only changes the present, but also reorganizes the past. That's a challenging idea intellectually. How can you change the past? But also in some intuitive way, a true one. What you do will reverberate for what came before, as well as what comes next. For me, as your dean, and for all of us here, faculty and staff and your loved ones, these ideas about the quiet and inevitable power of art, even in its daily making, come down to you and what you've been doing these last few years. Your work and dedication offer sources of continual amazement and joy. This week, for instance, has featured CUF, the Columbia University Film Festival. And what a pleasure and source of awe this has been. These films are diverse in every way. They are also moving and gorgeous and spellbinding. Or, still on display until the end of the week at the Lenfest Center for the Arts, you can be taken back and have your heart stopped in its place by the beauty, creativity, and sheer power of the graduating visual and sound arts thesis exhibition. And it's still up at the Lenfest Center. If you haven't been up there yet, I recommend it highly. Our theater students, actors, directors, writers, producers, all who make a production happen have been putting on show after show for weeks, every one of them of professional quality, full of wit, bursting with energy and intelligence. For our students pursuing a master's degree, they're digging deeply into the history of film and media and also charting its future, presenting at conferences and finding new ways to theorize the visual world in many contexts. And our writing students are doing work that is searching and ambitious, also funny and whimsical, and always original. You will all want to read this work, and I'm sure you will. Those will be the bookshelves of the future. So as you heard in the video, and you can see in our logo, 2025 is the 60th anniversary of the School of the Arts. As a matter of fact, and we're celebrating all year, so you all who are about to become alums, we're hoping you'll all come back in October for our reunion. You'll probably be like, not ready to come back yet, but you will be, I promise. But anyway, as a matter of fact, the arts have been taught at Columbia for closer to 150 years. But as a school dedicated to bringing in the greatest artists to be our faculty, with a mission to educate the next generation of artists and to shape the future of the world's imagination, this has been 60 beautiful years in the making. Over time, we have deepened our scholarly mission as well as our very extensive teaching of Columbia undergraduates. You, as the class of 2025, have the distinction of stepping out in this anniversary moment, and you represent all that these decades have meant. Like the thousands of artists who have come before you at our school, diverse and immensely distinguished, you will do your fabulous things in the world, and you will also carry with you the cumulative aspirations, goodwill, experience, and intellectual power that we've been able to muster for these last 6 decades. To you, the dazzling class of 2025, I extend my warmest possible wishes. We at the school, yeah, it's time for the tambourines again. We at the school could not aspire for a brighter future for you, full of rich thinking and persistent creativity, and through it all, joy in your scholarship and in your art. Things will get difficult, of course, and I hope you'll be forgiving of yourself. Success in its perfectly packaged form is overrated if it exists at all. But the pleasure and power of the creative life, that day-to-day willingness to keep doing it, the knowledge that what you do makes a difference in ways you may never really know yourself, this is something to cherish. Please stay in very close touch with us. We will miss you. All right. And now it is my very distinct pleasure to invite to the podium our dear colleague, Jack Leshner, Chair of the Film Program, a great film producer, an utterly devoted and exceptional citizen of the School of the Arts, who will introduce our convocation speaker.
Good evening. As current chair of the film program, the honor falls to me to introduce our commencement speaker, Lisa Cholodenko. Lisa Cholodenko is an Academy Award-nominated filmmaker and a 1997 graduate of the MFA program in film. Over the past 2 decades, she has built a body of bold, nuanced storytelling in film and television that explores the complexities of identity, family, and desire with humor, pathos, and a clear-eyed humanity. Her 1998 debut feature, High Art, won the Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award at the Sundance Film Festival and earned several Independent Spirit Award nominations, establishing her as a distinctive voice in intimate, character-driven storytelling. The film also screened in Directors Fortnight at Cannes. She followed with Laurel Canyon in 2002, a sly, sun-drenched portrait of music, sex, and generational rifts in Los Angeles, which premiered at Cannes and Directors Fortnight, and Cave Dweller in 2004, which won awards at Carlo Vivari and Seattle. Lisa's fourth feature, 2010's The Kids Are All Right, was a critical and commercial breakthrough. It received 4 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and won the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The film was widely praised for its humor, emotional insight, and fresh take on modern family life. In television, Lisa directed the acclaimed HBO limited series Olive Kitteridge in 2014, starring Frances McDormand and Bill Murray, which won 8 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Directing for Lisa, as well as the Directors Guild of America Award for directing. She also directed and executive produced Netflix's Unbelievable, which won a Peabody Award. Most recently, she executive produced and directed Hulu's The Girl from Plainville, starring Elle Fanning. Beyond her directing work, Lisa has served as an advisor at the Sundance Institute's International Film Labs, mentoring emerging filmmakers from Latin America and Southern Europe. She is currently adapting Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking for HBO and developing additional projects for film and television. We are so fortunate to have her with us here tonight. Please help me welcome Lisa Cholodenko.
Hello and congratulations. Wow. It's great to see you all in your blue. It looks really good from up here. And thank you, John. When I was invited to speak to you today, I thought I should get a leg up and have a look at some of the speakers that came before me. It was a formidable lineup, and I was aptly intimidated following in their footsteps. In fact, I wondered what business I had being next on deck. But this is what I saw. Some speakers let it roll off their minds as if on the fly. Their speeches were poetic and impassioned and likely well-rehearsed. One pulled Post-its from their pocket, sharing pearls of wisdom and humor. Another wrote a brilliant manifesto on a cocktail napkin on the way to this event. One was strangely abstract, and the best was undeniably bizarre. But all these speakers were artists with original voices and visions, and their speeches reflected that. Each, in their singular way, offered something heartfelt, wise, and wholly their own. I have a mind like a mirror ball, so my thoughts today might feel elegantly sewn, but I hope they'll form something whole and worthwhile that you can take with you on your journey. The bag of talisman. In my mirror ball mind, I keep a little bag of talisman, quotes and experiences that have helped me stay grounded and sane on my path. I began to collect many of them when I was a student here at Columbia. The moment of recognition. A beloved screenwriting professor, the late Brendan Ward, used to tell students that characters needed moments of recognition. A moment the audience hopes for and waits for when the character suddenly understands something essential, usually about themselves. In Greek speak, it may be the catharsis, in the Bible, revelation, in therapy, the breakthrough, and in our slang, the aha moment. As creators, these moments galvanize us. They're signals that we're onto something, at the precipice, in the flow, or simply heading in the right direction. There is no proof it's an ineffable thing, but as artists, in our deep sensitivity to ourselves and others and the world around us, these moments of recognition serve as proof that our spirit guides, or angels, are with us. Remember your origin story. In my application to the School of the Arts, I wrote about seeing a movie that electrified me and inspired me to become a filmmaker. I wrote about seeing Jane Campion's early feature, Sweetie, and having the weird sensation that I'd body switched with Jane Campion. I felt like I was in her mind, the director behind the camera with a singular vision, telling the story and calling the shots. I talked about her startling ending when she blew open the myth of unconditional love. As the credits rolled, I remember thinking, that is the most radical, taboo, shocking thing I've ever seen. If Jane Campion can make a movie about the myth of unconditional love, I want in. What a wild thing to break through the status quo through art. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, a queer Jewish valley girl, the triple crown of strange. But Sweetie showed me I could turn my otherness into my path and tell stories only someone with my experience could. I wanted to say forbidden things and conjure in others the feeling of liberation that I had that day watching Sweetie. So I took my otherness and Sweetie, and I applied to Columbia. And by a stroke of good fortune, I was accepted here, and it changed my life. Remember the affirmations. Just like every artist's voice is singular, every journey is singular. Just being accepted into this program was an affirmation of your singular vision and potential. Distinguished professors and artists recognized your promise and invited you here to nurture and prepare you to go out there and kill it. Remember the grit and determination it took to get here today, and let your origin story embolden you on your path. The touchstones, like your Columbia education, are the talisman. Keep them in your wallet when you need affirmation. It's too easy to blow past our accomplishments on the way to the next. I've never gotten used to the question, so what's next? After every project, success or otherwise, I'm asked the same question. So what are you doing next? And it never fails to make me feel untethered and a little pissed off. What's next? What about right now? What about this film? What about the bloodletting and the suffering and the death rattle and the home birth it took to bring some tiny seed of an idea alive? Can we be here now? Give a girl a break. But this is the marriage of art and commerce. Art is bought and sold, exposed and reviewed. Making art in a capitalist system doesn't always square with the delicacy and genius of creating, or square with the nurturing and time it takes to invent. So stay by your side, be your own advocate, and keep faith in the necessity of your work. Every wall is a door. I wrote my first feature, High Art, while I was a student here. It was the golden age of indie cinema and new queer cinema, and I was determined to get in on it. I found great mentors and supportive classmates, and I wrote that script to the bone. I had no real clue how to turn that script into a movie, get it into the world, and start a career. Maybe my ambition was a fool's errand, but I repressed all that doubt and just stayed on my path. Raise your hand and say yes. During that time, I took a producing course with Michael Hausman, a kook and a force of nature. He had produced movies for some famous directors. One day he walked into the class and he said, "I need some volunteers for a project." Hands shot up. Then he said, "This is going to be a fundraiser for my friend Robert Benton's Episcopal Church in East Hampton. It's fallen apart." and hands sheepishly lowered. And he went on, "We're shooting it on video." Video then was like crappy VHS that you'd see on public access TV. We were in film school. Nobody wanted to shoot on video. And more hands dropped. Some days later, 4 of us schlepped to East Hampton to shoot the church video. We were winging it, and it showed. And I wondered why I raised my hand. Back in class, Mike said, "Okay, take this footage and go downtown. You'll meet a kid named Jeff with an Avid. You're going to edit with him." The 4 of us go downtown and meet Jeff. He had a ponytail. That's all I could tell about him. A few days later, no one else showed up, and I was the last man standing. Jeff and I edited the scrappy church video and got to know each other on the way. We discovered we were both Jewish kids from the San Fernando Valley. He was a high school dropout with a PhD from Michigan, and I was a high school slacker at Columbia. Interesting. One day, he mentioned that he and his wife were looking at lofts. They had just seen one in prime Soho with light from 3 directions. But they didn't love it and weren't going to buy it. And I realized he might be wealthy, but I didn't think much about it. We finished the church video, bid our farewell, and I went back uptown to stall in graduating, avoid paying back my loans, and figure out how on earth I was going to make high art. Fortune favors the prepared mind. About 6 months later, I was in a bookstore when we had bookstores, and I ran into Jeff. It was nice to see him. I liked the books he was buying. He asked me what I was up to, and in a strange rush of false bravado and intuition, I said, "Oh, I'm making a feature." And he said, "Oh, yeah? That's great. I'd love to read it." And I said, "Well, I'd love you to read it." And spontaneously added, with coquettish irony and hustle, "Maybe you want to get involved." And he said, "Maybe I do." And 6 months later, Jeff was producing and financing high art. Whatever your medium, stay in your truth. Return to what you said in your applications and the aha moment that brought you here to distill your vision and prepare yourself. Remember your talisman, say yes when you don't know why. Every wall is a door, and fortune does favor the prepared mind. We're in challenging times, let's be honest. Things are in flux, and it's weird. But in uncertain times, your visions are all the more necessary. You translate our culture, you pretend what's next, and you push the whole thing forward. Great art is made in these times. We need art in these times. I want to leave you with a quote, Goethe's famous quote. "The moment one commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidences, meetings, and material assistance, which no one could have dreamt would have come their way. Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it." So congratulations to all of you. You did it. You're here. Now go out and celebrate.
I'm back. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was wonderful. I'll just talk for a few minutes and then introduce Hannah Seifu, who will read the names of the graduates in film. But first, anyone who's taken one of my classes at Columbia knows that there are many different ways to structure a movie. There are chapter-based movies, spectacle-based movies, time lasagnas, pass the baton movies. There are one-act movies like Do the Right Thing and The Farewell. There are two-act movies like Life is Beautiful and The Lobster. I once even worked on a 5-act movie, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. But there's one structure we come back to again and again, the 3-act movie, which probably accounts for 80% of American cinema. In its most classical form, the three-act movie follows a protagonist who is trying really hard to do something. The protagonist is faced with conflict from an antagonistic force which disrupts their status quo. The protagonist must try harder and harder in order to achieve their goal, taking ever greater risks and encountering ever greater jeopardy along the way. By the third act, the protagonist has had to dig deep into their inner resources, discovering qualities they never knew they possessed. At the end of the movie, they may or may not have gotten what they wanted, but they usually realize they've gotten what they needed. Graduating class of film students, your story is a classically structured three-act movie in which you are the protagonists. You came to Columbia School of the Arts to hone your skills and talents, to find collaborators, to learn from the faculty and each other. As is often the case, you had what we call backstory. You had already been through a global pandemic, which helped you realize how precious and fleeting life can be. And like the characters in any great ensemble movie, you are a collection of unique individuals, carefully balanced in order to bring out the best in each other. You've had romantic subplots, comic relief scenes, and the traditional buddy dynamic in which wildly different characters overcome their negative first impressions and end up becoming best friends. Naturally, your status quo has been disrupted by several forces of antagonism, including the complicated political climate on campus and in the world, the strikes and contractions of the film and television industry, and most recently, the challenges to visas for international students and to student loans for domestic students. These obstacles have forced all of you to draw on your inner resources in order to accomplish your goals. Amazingly, you've done it. You've risen to the occasion again and again and created astonishing work despite the overwhelming odds against you. You found ways to help each other even when you were working in remote locations literally around the world, and you've built strong collaborations and friendships that will endure long past today. You've nailed your third act and got what you needed. Many of our MA film students will now roll straight into their much-anticipated sequel, Episode 2, PhD. In a truly meta twist, others will become the lead characters in spin-offs devoted to criticism or programming. The future of the franchise for MFA film students is a little more flexible. It's true you're graduating at a time when it isn't easy to get a feature film made or to find work on a series. But here's the secret of the entertainment industry. That's always been true. And while the streaming services aren't throwing money around like drunken sailors anymore, there are still movies and series getting made, many of them by graduates of this program. There's also a new sector that some people call the maker economy. Between 20 and 30 of our recent graduates are currently working full-time on making vertical mobisodes. Last year at this time, I didn't even know something called vertical mobisodes existed. Yesterday morning, I had breakfast with a filmmaker who told me he was editing his new movie in his home because they've already spent most of the $20 million budget from the studio. And while you might think, oh, poor guy, they couldn't put up another $1 million for a proper editing room, he got $20 million from a Hollywood studio to make an original non-horror movie not based on a comic book in 2025. It's still possible. Film graduates, as the lights come up and your credits roll, your time is now. I cannot adequately convey how proud the faculty and staff are of what you've achieved and the grace with which you've achieved it. Each one of you has completed a hero's journey. To me, each one of you is a hero. Congratulations. Speaking of heroes, it's now my pleasure to introduce Director of Academic Administration Hana Seifu, who will call up the graduates in film.
We're going to start with the MA in Film and Media Studies program graduates. Oh my God. They forget their cards. Lee Fei Chun, Xingji Ge, Matthew He, Jia Cheng Li, Eileen Yu Jun Min, Anne Wong, Jinyi Zhao. And now we're going to continue with our MFA film graduates. Abrar Abdulaziz, Aisha Amin, Murdo Barker Mill, Yael Bermudez, Jada Lynn Buford, Darren Chelik, Jean Shapiro, Mona Moon Na Chu, Greta Diaz Moreau, Nana Dufour, Kristen Edney, Ellis Finney, Catherine Falker, Kaya Gao, Lauren Elizabeth Harris, Kai Wen Hao, Kali Khan, Joshua Kellerman, Edie Kennedy, Byung Sun Kong, Jeffrey Lichtenstein, Alexandria Mania, Chrisana Mirage, Nora Maris, Nimisha Mizra, Fernando Moret, Noah Namgun, Crystal Mary Rose Navalier, Raman Namala, David Para, Janice Piccioni, Ivan Rome, Amanda Rose, Ari Shapiro, Kaustup Singh, Carson Alexandria Smith. Morgan Alicia Smith. Katla Solnez. Corey Stewart. Jared Rogers Truss. Yuhan Sai. Eva Vidan. Helena Volbeta. Han Chuan Wong. Chin Ting Wong. Jared Widmeyer. Lindsay Williams. Jia Ying Wu. Yuran Yan. Audrey Zhang. Shuyan Jiang. Thank you so much.
Hello, 2025 theater graduates. I'm guessing if you've been paying attention at all, current events and reports about the state of our field have you more than a little concerned and nervous about launching your careers at this moment. And if you aren't, I'm guessing that maybe some of your friends and family are on your behalf. I'm not going to make any false assurances here, but one thing I am confident about is that after 3 years of training here at Columbia, you are ready to answer the most important question: why do this? The answer to that question will be the source of the drive and the sustenance you need to forge your own path and to figure out how to make the work you want to make and also build the life that you want. I won't presume to answer it for you, but I will invite you in thinking about it to consider the audience. I think all of the current challenges facing the theater field and the country at large present a critical opportunity for us as theater makers to make a case not merely for our own individual artistry, but for the form itself. What can the theater offer and do for a fractured, fragmented, hyper-digitized society? And how will that animate the choices we make as artists? My dear colleague and friend Anne Bogart often reminds me and her students that the theater, really all theater in all forms, is a proposition for how we might get along. I would argue that our art form, by virtue of its immediacy, intimacy, temporality, and liveness, offers a nightly space for practicing getting along. In watching a good play, we tap into a collective consciousness in which we are lifted simultaneously away from our own daily concerns as we enter another imagined world and into a deeper awareness of our own biases, desires, and likeness to others. Some might call this empathy, but I think it's more than that. The theater offers a chance for fleeting but intense transcendence. It provides shared experience. The best theater I've seen lately, whether it was the Berliner Ensemble's vivid production of Brecht's Threepenny Opera, Andrew Scott performing Chekhov's Uncle Vanya solo, or the sleeper Broadway hit musical Maybe Happy Ending about futuristic Korean robots falling in love, all shared a key ingredient. Each of them, in their own way, contained an invitation to the people sitting in the dark to become an audience, not just a group of individuals. Each spring, I co-teach a course with the great Tori Bailey, who's here, called Reimagining the American Theater. In it, we take our students through a series of conversations about plays and critical articles about theaters and theater making, and we challenge them to work in groups to propose new theaters and producing models. The course is predicated on the assumption that while the theater must and will change, as it always has, it's not going anywhere. A core text we used this year was James Shapiro's excellent new book, The Playbook, which offers a history of the rise of the Federal Theater Project in the 1930s, which was an initiative of the WPA to employ art workers and others during the Depression, and how it met its demise at the hands of hyper-partisan politicians who had it in for FDR's New Deal and saw attacking the theater as low-hanging fruit. They were correct. And as Shapiro argues, this laid the groundwork for the House Un-American Activities Committee, McCarthyism, and the so-called culture wars we're experiencing today. Now, before I depress you completely, I bring up this book and this story because in it, as we were putting together this syllabus, I located a small anecdote about the great James Baldwin having attended one of the more famous productions of the Federal Theater Project as a child, and the first time he ever went to the theater. Orson Welles' radical all-black production of Macbeth set in Haiti. I found Baldwin's full account of this experience in his book, The Devil Finds Work, which is mostly about film, actually, but he writes a little bit about theater in this book. I offer a portion of it to you as sustenance and as a reminder that the art form you have chosen is, at its best, transformational. It is necessary, it is worthy of your pursuit, and you are all ready for it. I know you all, you're ready for it. I'll leave you with just a few paragraphs of this from James Baldwin. Bill takes me to see my first play, the Orson Welles production of Macbeth, with an all-black cast at the Lafayette Theater on 132nd Street and 7th Avenue in Harlem. I do not remember if I had already read Macbeth. My impression is that I had read the play when Bill told me she was taking me to see it. In any case, before the curtain rose, I knew the play by heart. I don't think that the name Shakespeare meant very much to me in those years. I was not yet intimidated by the name. That was to come later. I had read a play which took place in Scotland. Bill had not warned me, she may not have known, that Welles had transposed the play to Haiti. I am still about 12 or 13. The first time I ever really saw black actors at work was on the stage, and it is important to emphasize that the people I was watching were black, like me. Nothing I had seen before had prepared me for this, which is a melancholy comment indeed, but I cannot be blamed for an ignorance which an entire republic had deliberately inculcated. Tension between the real and the imagined is the theater, and this is why the theater will always remain a necessity. One is not in the presence of shadows, but responding to one's flesh and blood. In the theater, we are recreating each other. Clearly now, when speaking of the theater, I am not speaking to those desperate and debilitating commercial ventures on which Broadway embarks each season, with apologies to the producers, or those grim revivals of stillborn plays of which London is so fond, or those adaptations of American monstrosities which have been the rage of Paris for so long. Nor in the present instance is the term one's flesh and blood meant to refer merely to the spectacle of a black boy seeing for the first time in his life living black actors on a living stage. We are all each other's flesh and blood. In the darkened Lafayette Theater, that moment when the house lights dim in the theater is not at all like the dimming of the house lights in the movies. I watched the narrow, horizontal ribbon of light which connects the stage curtain to the floor of the stage and which also separates them. That narrow ribbon of light then contains a mystery. That mystery may contain the future. You are yourself suspended as mortal as that ribbon. No one can possibly know what is about to happen. It is happening each time, for the first time, for the only time. For this reason, although I did not know this, I had never before in the movies been aware of the audience. In the movies, we knew it was going to happen, and if we wanted to, we could stay there all afternoon, seeing it happen over and over again. But I was aware of the audience now. Everyone seemed to be waiting, as I was waiting. The curtain rose. Congratulations, class of 2025. And now I would like to introduce the Interim Director of Academic Administration for Theater, Clarence Koo, who will read the names of the graduates.
All right. If there was some, yeah, I can slow down, right? Slow down. Yeah. Okay. I think it's like shake hands. I'll just wait for you. Dácil Acevedo. Calvin Atkinson. Jonathan Barbie. Isaiah Brown. Jacqueline Byrne. Betsabe Caballero Borboa. Vivian E. Ning Cao. Alexander Carol Cabanes. Chaz Coberly. Jenna Coffey. Kyrie Mayel Colson. Diane Davis. India Derowetsky. Joel Edwards. Anastasia Ellis. Milton Espinosa Jr. Hina Fawaz. Zoe Fung. Jillian Fu. Ruth Gershberg. Morgan Rose Grant. Sarah Michelle Guay. Anouk Kazoo. Jakir Lafond. Megan Ledford. Savannah Lavelle. Hunter Loudon. D.B. Milliken. Srujani Mishra. Marina de Franza Correa Montesanti. Christina Moore. David O'Brien. Owen O'Casey. Ricky Ronald Orr II. Tu Quinn Pham. Yvonne Jessica Pruitt. Andrew Reed. Amalia Oliva Rojas. Kaylin Sakima. Paula Solis Ramirez. Jake Alexander Steinberg. Miles Sternfeld. Rachel Marie Straza. Chi Xuan Sun. Yeah, Jasun. Miranda Tejeda. Cenarius Quinasia Thurmond. Ellen Valencia. Benjamin Viertal. Colin Wolf. Hannah Yankovitz. Fu Yuan Zhang. Congratulations, all theater graduates!
Hello. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. I'm out there, okay. So engage your core. We believe in knowledge, expertise, exploration, and we believe in art. We're all engaged in cultural production, and in visual arts we make objects, whether solid or ephemeral, as in sound. We work in a space, and in doing so, we may recall what the physicist Albert Einstein said: artists act as a conduit and have one arm reaching into the universe and the other arm into the world of the here and now. Well, thank you. That really narrows it down. In sound art, we work with the ephemeral. Sound, like light, is fully immersive and yet not something that we readily see as visible. Plato implied that sound was a vapor that disappears as vapors do. Sound is subjective, and we depend on our bodies to perceive it, as sound and vibration are part of the same coin. Sound is the relational and dependent on technology for its transmission and diffusion. It is relational in the sense that sound is responsive to the architectural acoustic space, to the reflective surfaces, and in so is our own bodies of reception and perception of sound and vibration. But in a sense, visual arts share this quality of the relational and an ever-shifting sense of you are as an artist and the world that is encountered and the differences and the differing that is implied with all of the ongoing and iterative. The influences, we are in this prelingual, in sound, we are in this prelingual state, and we embrace the abstraction of being and making. And as visual artists, whether we work with the solid forms or of sound, we work in the nonverbal realm of materials, that is color, texture, density, wetness, size, loudness, found images, randomness. What's at stake now in this political moment is higher than ever. There's more passion, more dedication is needed to create new work in the studio. When there's more chaos in the external world, the nerves are raw and shimmering and respond with a glistening reaction. In times like these, the art of the students has an intensity, a power. The work of the students has layers of meaning. We find ourselves in a space of aggression and waves of instability flying around. How to foreground the political in such an environment and make art that is reflected in social and antisocial behavior of the world? As for making work, the singular intensity that is required to complete that last bit of sculpture, edit that last frame of video, or that decision to remove something, to take something away, maybe an item from an installation that doesn't need to be there. These last decisions, this honing of the work, the skill of learning how to edit our work, our words and images and sound, and how we relate to it, and how it reads to the outside world is everything. How will we look back on this moment in history, in this moment of your personal history, this work you have created, and so important, and the accumulation of all the decisions you have made as artists, and is made manifest in your thesis work, and is so important to the field, to curators. I want to talk about one more thing, and that that is the tipping point of where you fall in love with your work, with the work. I want to talk about the word amateur, which comes from the word amatorum, for the love of something, or pursuing a passion, to do something for love rather than for gain, as it was used for the first time in a letter in the 1700s. But over a period of 100 years, the word began to be cast as pejorative with negative aspersions, and so as to mean something or someone that's not good enough to be professional, the act that will sell for money in the marketplace. That, in this sense, we embrace what is known as the amateur, for we do this out of love and not for gain and not for money. You know what I'm talking about? To know and feel the sensuality of the clay, of the wetness, and this love for these acts of creativity. We celebrate you working in these times, despite these times, and through these times, negotiating the universe and the world during these moments, during this time of trepidation, aggression, and instability. It's deeply felt every minute, every moment. We are here to celebrate the class of 2025, and I, for one, couldn't be more proud of the students and their work, blood, sweat, and tears, to wring it out. I am in awe of all of you, that you have accomplished so much in our 2 years together. The thesis show at Lundfest is spectacular, and the proof is in the pudding. It's a 5-minute walk from Broadway to 121st, so on the A train, if you haven't been there, I encourage all of you to go. And within a few minutes, you will have officially passed the hallmark and will be bestowed a Master's of Fine Arts at Columbia University, and will not have only survived and excelled for what I cannot commend you more highly. And from the bottom of my heart, here's to you, class of 2025. And now I would like to introduce Visual Art and Sound Art Program's Director of Academic Administration, Laura Mosquera, who will read the names.
Theater, you make it hard to follow you every year. We are more internal. Georgia Aliata de Montreal. Emerita Bake. Francisca Brunet Bellon. Daniel Castro. Devin Pinyu Chen. Isaiah Davis. Rama Ghanem. Javier Griffey. Callan Hale. Ji-young Kim. Lena Kim. Sharon Chakwoon Lee. Yue Yuan Luo. Andrea Moreno. Injun Park. Wenhui Chuan. Gretel Rasua Fariñas. Selmira Rizo Patrón. Liz Schneider. Annika Tucksmith. Magali van Kaloon. Antonio Vidal de Lascurain Ordóñez. Jen Yang. Ke Zhang. The students also graduating today that are not here are Andreas Alvarez Backus, Maya Dixon, Christina Yuna Ko, Ridwana Rahman, and Miles Sharp. Congratulations to the very beautiful souls from Sound Art and Visual Arts.
Good evening. I'm Deborah Paredes, and I'm the chair of the writing program. But really, at least on my better days, what I mostly am is a poet, which means I'm inclined to turn towards poetry for guidance or solace or lyrical insight. But I admit to having struggled to find the right poetic words to honor the capacious set of feelings that accompany this occasion at this particular moment of history. Really, I tried. But all I kept coming back to were 3 rather somber lines from Stanley Kunitz's poem, The Testing Tree, in which he writes, "In murderous times, the heart breaks and lives by breaking." Now, I know you're probably thinking, great, leave it to the poets to be the buzzkill at the party. But will you stay with me here for a moment in this dark corner, just a few steps away from the edge of the dance floor? I promise to dance with you later. For now, I invite you to sit with me here along with Kunitz's words, because I can't stop thinking about what it means and what we must bear as artists to be among the living during murderous times, what it means to live by breaking. I want you to join me here because I've realized it is you, the students and very soon to be graduates of the Columbia Writing Program, who have been showing me all along how to live by breaking. During your time here, one marked by extraordinary turmoil and devastation on campus and in the world, you have been living by breaking. You've been breaking yourselves open to new ideas and experimentation. You've been breaking the rules and breaking the boundaries of genre, and on occasion, breaking the law in the pursuit of justice, and breaking bread with one another across ideological and artistic differences, and breaking your hearts open to the suffering of others, and breaking open portals to delight and possibility, and above all, breaking the silences that followed when your fellow students were unlawfully abducted and detained, the silences that at once facilitate and obfuscate the workings of authoritarian rule. You have insisted on opening when so much has been violently shut down: national borders, campus gates, opportunities for access to education for the most vulnerable among us, acts of political protest. Here you are, living by breaking. I see you. And I'm here to tell you to keep at it. To tell you that the happiest you'll ever be in relation to your writing is not when you land a book contract or secure an agent or cash that first advance check or when you hold this hard-earned diploma. No. The happiest you will be is in the practice you've been doing all this time, in those moments when you're in the flow of your writing, when you're jotting down a new idea or revising an old one, when you're at your desk and you're wrestling with words and you're breaking it all down and apart and open. I'm here to tell you that this is the one thing about your writing that capitalism can't give or take from you, that authoritarian regimes cannot seize. But you likely already know this because you have been practicing. It is how you got to this moment of achievement. So keep at it. And remember W.H. Auden's words from his poem, September 1st, 1939. All I have is a voice to undo the folded lie. May your words be the canopy that unfolds under which we can all seek shelter together. May they be the path unfolding before us that leads us beyond this place where so much lies broken. Thank you and congratulations. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce the writing program's Director of Academic Administration, Frank Winslow, who will read the names of our 2025 MFA graduates in writing. Frank.
Wow, it's my tear ducts that are about to break open now. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all of the graduates of 2025. I think so. You'll hand cards to me. All right. Regardless of what you hear, I've practiced this many times. All right. Finn Anderson. Alexandra Banich. Lisa Britton. Joseph Buber. Alexander Birchfield. Mary Cochran. Donna Davidson. Ashley D. Escobar. Megan Fay. Allison Teresa Fowler. Ellen Gerard. Amelia Getahoon Hawkins. Teresa Janasha. Thank you. Priyam Goyal. Misha Rain Fogel. Maddie Govan. Kyle Graber. Haker. Samuel Haker. Diana McLaren Heald. Corey Hughes. Dakota Jennifer. Catherine Duncan. Caroline Elizabeth Johnson. Zoe Hardwick. Vanessa Jung. Caitlin Cam. Ramesh Iqbal Karatala. Adelia Khan. Nicole Kugel. Sophie Lalani. Ooh, this one was whispered. Ka Ke Lao Kaya. Ying Ji Jia Lei. Demetra Lumiatis. Lumiatis. Dea Luna. Woody Brown. Ooh. Miranda Marzia Regos. Oh. Catherine McMullen. Abby Melick. Congrats. Ray Miller. Jude Missick. Anna Montagner. Alberto Orejuela. Marta Papanzi. Cristobal Riega. Here you go. Sofia Rodriguez Bolina. Victoria Rusinski. Pia Sani. Addison Schumann. Cole Shurik. Claire Tafoya. Angel Anastasia Walton. Woo! Clay Wells. Congratulations, Olivia. Olivia Williams. Nathan, congratulations. And Nathany Yawa Yaski.
Thank you to everyone. All right, graduates, Please rise. This is it. You've done it. So let's make it official. Wait. Having completed the requirements for the Master of Fine Arts or Master of Arts, I now confer on you these degrees with all the rights and privileges thereto attained. Congratulations. So the graduates are going to process out whenever they're ready, and after that, everybody else can join them for the reception, which now I'm being told is on the 5th floor of this building. So there are ramps and stairs and all kinds of weird things. There are elevators. So we'll see you there. It's an all-night party here. Actually, not all night, but for a while. Congratulations again, and enjoy the celebration.